Remember when the COVID was going on? Don't come to work, stay home. Your office vacancy rate in the 10 largest cities in America is around 20%. Before COVID, it was around 11%. There's going to be failures on defaults on loans in office buildings. They're not talking about this. The leases are now coming up. That was 5 years ago. Leases are 5 and 10 years, So a lot of these leases are coming up, and they can't pay the rent, the loans. You're going to start seeing. Let's go back to 2023. 3 banks went bust: Signature, Silicon Valley, and First Republic. Look what happened to the markets. 3 banks. Poof, markets go down, gold goes way up. You're going to see more than 3 banks fail. And nobody's talking about this. Trump is going to do everything he can to lower interest rates. And if anybody thinks that he can't do it, again, we only go by the facts. Let's go back to December 2018. It was the worst Dow since the Great Depression, 1931. What happened? Trump forced Powell to lower interest rates. Powell lowered them in January 2019. The markets went up 22% that year. Trump is only interested in the equity markets and his reputation. He'll do everything to keep pumping it up. But then there's the realities going on, and they're not discussed. Nvidia's stock is skyrocketing. Now they're selling the chips back to China. What happened in January? A company called DeepSeek that nobody ever heard of. We don't need $100 million to make this AI. We could do it $6 million. And we don't need those big chips. And now DeepSeek is the most used AI in the world. So we're looking at trends again. Trends are born, they grow, they mature, reach old age, and die. Where are the markets going? There's going to be a dot-com bust. And the reason being is that trend, the AI trend, was only born 3 years ago, 2022. It's still an infant. You don't invest all your money in the first development. And that's what happened back when it's in your magazine, the Trends Journal, back in 1999, we said there would be a dot-com bust by the second quarter of 2000. The AI, the internet revolution was just born several years earlier, and people were investing in all these new things that made no sense.
Markets mirror living ecosystems. Trends emerge, grow, peak, and decay. The dot-com boom of the late 1990s reached unsustainable heights before collapsing in 2000. Now, AI's rapid rise since around 2022 evokes similar caution. Rather than chasing early developers, prudent investors recognize that broad deployment often requires time and maturity. History teaches that timing matters. Early phase hype rarely sustains itself without fundamental backing. Spotting overvaluation doesn't guarantee a crash, but being aware of life cycles helps guard against overexposure in speculative bubbles.
Again, look at the numbers. Here, housing. The cost of a house has gone up over 50% since they launched the COVID war in 2020. Once upon a time, first-time home buyers, 40% were first-time home buyers. 40% were first-time home buyers. Now it's down to 28%. Rents are going up. They can't afford to buy a house. But going back to the dot-com bust, they've overinvested in it. China is going to lead the world in AI. Again, we're political atheists. It's not what you like, what you want, what you wish for. It's what is. You just look at things the way they are. Here, going back to putting the trends together. Before Bill Clinton brought China into the World Trade Organization, which they officially came in 2 weeks after 9/11, in 2000, 10% of Chinese 18-year-olds went to college. Today, almost 70%. Young people are all high-tech AI addicted. So what we're saying is there's going to be a dot-com bust. The markets are overvalued. Look what's going on now. The banks and the hedge funds, they're not, we saw with BlackRock numbers that just came out. They're not doing what they thought they were going to do. And it's going to come down. It's artificially propped up. There's no relationship to Wall Street to Main Street. Does not exist. Of all the trillions of dollars that have been invested in these make-believe AI companies, one after another, the Chinese are going to lead the charge in it, and they're doing it at a lot cheaper level. They're way overvalued. It's like investing in an automobile in 18, let's say 86 or something. Do you put all your money in the first automobile company? And again, China's going to, America, we got 340, depending on whose numbers you look at, about 45 million people. China has 1.4 billion. And their education system is becoming more advanced, way more advanced than ours. So again, the young people are totally addicted to this stuff. And they're going to lead the charge in it. So we see a dot-com bust. Another thing that no one's talking about. Let's go back again.
Since 2020, housing prices have surged. Many metros saw increases well over 50%. This has depleted the pool of first-time buyers from around 40% pre-pandemic to roughly 28% today. Rents have climbed accordingly, and home ownership slips further from reach. These shifts aren't abstract. They reflect how monetary policy and supply constraints ripple through everyday lives. Unless affordability improves, the dream of owning a home remains elusive for many Americans, reshaping family formation and generational wealth patterns.
Remember when the COVID was going on? Don't come to work, stay home. Your office vacancy rate in the 10 largest cities in America is around 20%. Before COVID, it was around 11%. There's going to be failures on defaults on loans in office buildings. They're not talking about this. The leases are now coming up. That was 5 years ago. Leases are 5 and 10 years, So a lot of these leases are coming up, and they can't pay the rent, the loans. You're going to start seeing, let's go back to 2023. 3 banks went bust: Signature, Silicon Valley, and First Republic. Look what happened to the markets. 3 banks, poof, markets go down, gold goes way up. You're going to see more than 3 banks fail. And nobody's talking about this. Global. I mean, it's not, take a look at Germany, the 3rd largest economy in the world. They've been in recession for 2 years, going on to their 3rd. Oh, now they're borrowing $1 trillion to build up their military and the infrastructure, all right? It's one country after another. It was artificially propped up with trillions of dollars to fight the COVID war. I thought everything would crash when they locked down everything. I didn't know they pump in trillions of dollars, bring interest rates down to 0. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I thought things would crash again in 2012. I took out the domain name, the Panic of '08 in 2007. I call the 1987 stock market crash. I was totally wrong in 2012. They didn't teach me about a thing called quantitative easing.
Yeah.
In economics 101 or graduate school. They're going to make up anything they can to prop this up.
Commercial real estate has borne the brunt of post-pandemic disruption. Office vacancy rates remain elevated, nationally hovering near 19 to 20%, with some tech-centric regions hit harder. San Francisco, for instance, still suffers a sluggish return to office, with occupancy levels well behind other major metros. Yet within this malaise lies opportunity. Top-tier spaces remain in demand, and many cities are creatively converting empty offices into residential or mixed-use projects. The sector's recalibration is ongoing and uneven.
They'll make up anything. Look what's going on with the digital world now, with stable coins and on and on and on. And let's go back to Trump again. In the magazine, only the facts, only the facts. We quote him going back from 2019 up to 2021. How he hated Bitcoin, how he hated cryptocurrencies, what a fraud it was. What he got, over $100 million from the crypto club when he ran for president? Tens of millions of dollars from the crypto club for his inauguration? His sons, his family, his team, all in the cryptos? And what did we say when that happened? We said Bitcoin's going to explode. And as we're talking now, it's right, almost $120,000 for a coin that's invented on absolutely nothing. So they're going to do anything they can. And they may say things like, Oh, we're going digital now. And this digital that we have is worth so much money, we just got rid of our debt. They'll make up anything.
Will it work?
Let's go back to the Great Depression, 1933, Franklin Roosevelt. Everybody turn in all your gold. If you don't turn in your gold, you go to jail. What happened? The people turned in their gold. They gave them $20.67 an ounce. 1934, passed the Federal Reserve, the Gold Reserve Act. They increased the price of gold after they stole it from the people. 70%, brought it up to $35 an ounce. They'll do anything they can. People call it a government. I call it a crime syndicate. And again, only by the facts. What is J.P. Morgan Chase? How many felonies they've been convicted of? Oh, only 5. Oh, what happened during when the panic of 2008? Oh, the Federal Reserve only dumped in $29 trillion to bail out the banksters that caused the crash with their derivatives. And hey, you don't have a job? You're deep in debt? Don't worry about it. We got a subprime mortgage. Sign over here. Oh, that's not my number, by the way. That's from the Levy Institute at Bard College. We only put the facts in there. It's a crime syndicate.
Economic dominance is not static. China's ascent is tied to advancements in education and AI literacy. Where once only 10% of 18-year-olds attended college, today that figure nears 70%. As global investments flow into AI, renewable energy, and advanced manufacturing, China's growing talent base positions it as a serious technological contender. Meanwhile, the U.S. grapples with fragmented responses and geopolitical tensions. In this theater of innovation, education is both a battleground and a differentiator.
Let's look at the BRICS and how much of the world has had enough of the United States' economic and geopolitical hegemony. There's going to be a death of a dollar. And again, going back to the wild card, the lower interest rates go, the deeper the dollar falls. And look at again, only by the facts, the dollar this year is down what, 10.7% since the beginning of the year? The worst decline since 1973. 1973, the worst decline. What happened in 1973? Oh, there was the Yom Kippur War, and the Arab nations cut off remember they had the oil embargo? The price of a barrel of Brent crude quadrupled. Oh, and that was the year when they took us off the gold standard. The dollar's going down. The lower interest rates go, the deeper the dollar falls. We're looking at the beginning of the end of the dollars being the world currency. That's one of the wild cards is being played. And again, we firmly believe that Trump is going to force Powell to lower interest rates. They're going back to the housing market.
Currency strength often depends on monetary posture. In 2025, the U.S. dollar has suffered one of its steepest slumps, roughly a 10% decline year to date, the largest since the early 1970s. That drop mirrors inflation pressure, rate strategies, and shifting global trust in the dollar reserve role. The paradox remains. Rate cuts can buoy markets, yet erode currency value, raising questions about how long the dollar can sustain its primacy. For governments, businesses, and citizens, the implications are deep and unfolding.
It's going to also, again, the rates going down doesn't affect the mortgage rates, which is still about 6.8.
Yeah.
And you got to bring the treasuries down, so
easier said than done.
Yeah, because you got all that debt level.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's not going to bring them down. So there's going to be, it's already, the numbers are there. Again, the housing market's still overall, across much of the country, it's still pretty strong. It's going down in the South and in other areas, California. But up here in the Northeast, it's still going pretty strong. And yeah, the prices aren't going up as much as they were. They're going up in very small numbers, but they're still very high. So we don't see the prices going down unless there's a real crash. And even then, it'll only be a temporary hit. So the housing, but again, going back to the commercial real estate, that's the one to look to. Here, there's an article in this week's Trends Journal about the, let me see if I can find it right here quickly, about the most U.S. warehouse space now vacant, more vacant since 2014. So they overbuilt in the warehouse sector. It's one after another where they've overbuilt. So we're looking at, again, look what's going on with OPEC. They're putting out more to show you how bad the economy is. They're producing more oil, OPEC plus, as demand is down, because these countries need the money. They should be holding back on supply instead of expanding it. There's a global slowdown. It was artificially propped up when they printed all this money backed by nothing and printed on nothing to fight the COVID war. Hey, stay home. Don't worry about it. Here's some money. Hey, I'm a big airline. Here's several $1 billion, all right? I mean, they did it right in front of our eyes.